All right, let's talk about one of the wildest business stories to come out of India. We're looking at the country's biggest stockbroker, a company that basically tore up the rulebook on how you build a billion-dollar empire. And, the most interesting part of their story is actually everything they didn't do.
First off, they spent zero, literally zero, on celebrity endorsements. At a time when every other company was plastering famous faces on billboards, Zerodha had none. You'd never see their name on a cricket jersey during the IPL, which, as you know, is probably one of the most expensive and visible advertising spots in the entire country. They just weren't there.
And here's the real shocker, especially for a tech startup. They took no venture capital funding, not a single rupee. They are completely bootstrapped, which means they built this whole thing using their own profits, without any outside investors calling the shots. And yet, even after avoiding all that typical marketing stuff, they have over 1 crore, that's 10 million active users. That's more than any other broker in India.
So it just begs the question, right? How on earth did a company that broke every single rule in the marketing playbook still manage to come out on top? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
To really get why they were so successful, we've got to rewind the clock. Let's go back to the time before 2010 and look at the actual problem they decided to tackle.
You see, before Zerodha came along, getting into the stock market felt complicated and super expensive for the average person. The old school brokers charged these massive percentage-based fees. We're talking hundreds of rupees for just one trade. The whole thing was a maze of hidden charges and confusing jargon. It was a huge barrier keeping most people out. And right there, that was the big opportunity.
So into this messy, expensive world came this radically simple idea from 2 brothers who just saw a better way. So in 2010, Nitin and Nikhil Kamath launched Zerodha. And their goal wasn't just to start another brokerage firm. No, they wanted to completely tear down the old system. Their big solution was a model that was new to India at the time, called discount broking. And the concept is so simple, it's brilliant. Instead of charging you a percentage that gets bigger the more you trade, you just pay one small flat fee. That's it.
And what was that fee? Just 20 rupees. Think about that. It didn't matter if your trade was for 1,000 rupees or a crore. The price was always the same flat 20. This single number completely changed the game. All of a sudden, trading was accessible to millions of people who had been completely priced out before.
Okay, so they had a killer price. An absolute game changer. But a great price doesn't mean anything if nobody knows it exists, right? So how did they spread the word without a single ad? The answer to that is where their real genius lies.
Instead of pouring money into a marketing department, they built this incredible, self-powering growth engine. It worked in 3 steps. First, they focused everything on building an amazing product, their trading platform Kite, which was super clean, fast, and easy to use. Second, they realized people needed to learn, so they launched Varsity, a totally free, top-notch education platform to teach everyone about investing. And third, they just stepped back and let those 2 things do the work. A great product plus an educated user base created the best marketing in the world, word of mouth.
And this quote just sums up their entire philosophy perfectly. They bet everything on one simple idea. If you build something that is genuinely good and helpful, your customers will become your biggest salespeople. That trust and reputation started to build on itself, creating this organic growth that you just can't buy with ads.
Now, it's really important to say that this whole journey wasn't some perfect fairy tale. Of course not. As they grew like crazy, they ran into some serious problems. There were technical outages that frustrated a lot of users. They faced intense competition from other startups like Grow and Upstocks who had tons of funding. And man, the pressure on their systems during big market swings was immense. But through all of that, they just kept their heads down, focusing on improving the product for the long haul.
So when you boil this whole amazing story down, what's the real formula here? What are the big lessons we can pull from the Zerodha playbook?
It really just comes down to these timeless, almost old-fashioned principles. Number 1, solve a real painful problem that people actually have. 2, be obsessed with keeping your own costs low so you can give customers the best possible deal. 3, build rock-solid trust through being transparent and by educating people. And finally, just stay consistent. What Zerodha proved is that you don't need to chase growth with hype and big ad spends. If you just focus on building real, undeniable value, growth will find you.
And that really leaves us with one big question to chew on.
In a world that is so full of hype, so driven by marketing blitzes and the next big round of funding, is it possible that the best, most sustainable growth hack of all is just creating real value? The story of Zerodha seems to scream that the answer is yes.